Because the titration KHP analysis utilizes a back titration, you need to, before you can titrate any of your samples, determine the stoichiometric volume mixing ratio between your sodium hydroxide and hydrochloric acid solutions. This is what's referred to as the base to acid ratio. So you want to begin this process by pre-preparing your burettes with the appropriate solution. Pre-rinse the burette you're going to use for the sodium hydroxide at least 3 or 4 times, and then fill it up to a known starting volume. Likewise with your HCl burette, you also want to pre-rinse it several times and then fill it to a known starting volume. Start the base to acid ratio trials by draining from your HCl burette approximately 30 to 40 milliliters of HCl. This exact volume that's delivered doesn't have to be recorded. Do the hydrochloric acid solution in the 125 milliliter Erlenmeyer flask. You want to add an appropriate amount of indicator. In this case, I'll be using phenolphthalein, and 1 to 2 drops will be added to the solution. The hydrochloric acid mixture is then over-titrated with the sodium hydroxide solution. For phenolphthalein, that over-titrated point is when the solution turns a dark pink color. Okay, at this point, the solution is over-titrated. HCl is then added to back titrate the solution just before the equivalence point, which is when the solution will turn clear. Okay, now that the solution is clear, I want to try to finish the titration with the sodium hydroxide until I get the drop that turns it a faint pink. You should go very slowly here, 1 single drop at a time. You can see how that pink wanted to stay a little bit longer. You can do partial drops by letting droplets form on the tip and then touching the sidewall of the flask to get it into a solution. So this is the drop that made it turn a light pink color. As long as that color persists for 30 seconds, that is the correct endpoint. This is faded just a bit in less than 30 seconds, so I'm going to do another partial drop by letting it barely form on the tip, touch the sidewall of the flask to it, and I want to count 30 seconds. Okay, this endpoint looks like it's going to hold for the 30 seconds, so at that point you would document what the final volume is for sodium hydroxide, the final volume for hydrochloric acid. For the sodium hydroxide titrant solution, reading the bottom of the meniscus at eye level, you would record this volume, in this case, of 27.58 milliliters. Likewise, for the HCl burette, this volume would be recorded as 31.48 milliliters, and then you would calculate the base over acid ratio by dividing the sodium hydroxide volume divided by the hydrochloric acid volume, and you want to repeat those ratio trials until you get 3 consecutive results that agree within 2 parts per thousand or less.